You're listening to an Ada's Books podcast.
Welcome to Parenting and Bonding with Children's Books. Each Tuesday in our Facebook community, we go live to chat with a children's book author about the magic of books. Each book and author was chosen with you and your children in mind. So please sit back, relax, and enjoy this week's Author Spotlight. This episode, we're joined by the author who created the magic of Monster Kids Academy. Welcome, Marquiste Boyce.
Hello, everyone, and thank you very much, and thank you for having me, Quinn. Glad to be here today.
Yes, I'm glad you're here. So how are you?
I'm doing great, doing pretty good. Can't complain. It's a pretty busy day. So this is one of those things that at the end of the day, now I get a chance to kind of just unwind doing some of my favorite stuff, and that's just kind of talking about books in this case, because I am a huge book head. So I get the opportunity to sit down with you guys and talk about books.
Right. I can talk about books all day. So hopefully this doesn't go on too long. We're going to be respectful of all of your time. Don't worry. So author Marquiste Boyce, he created Monster Kids Academy to help explore how to teach children simple life lessons in a fun manner. His book, it's a series and it's awesome. So let's get into the book. Tell us about your first book in the series, Marquiste.
Yeah, awesome. Yeah, so Monster Kids Academy was a book series that I created back in the beginning of 2014, actually. And at the time, I was not an author by trade at all. I never actually written anything before.
Oh, wow.
But I had just at the time kind of heard about Amazon and their Kindle publishing and, how you could actually kind of create ebooks. So I was actually just looking for, additional streams of income. So I was thinking, okay, maybe writing would be something that I would actually enjoy doing, because I used to always like writing short stories and actually even like poetry back in the day. Okay. So I kind of came up with the idea of Monster Kids Academy just off of the concept of, I was thinking about what was something that, was unique to me, because I kind of wanted to write for children and something that was unique to me that I could probably talk about and expand on. And that for me was childhood bullying, because it was a topic that I was very familiar with because I was always kind of like that nerd kid growing up. So bullying was something that I kind of experienced a lot. And then as I got older, the dynamics of course changed with my classmates, so now it's kind of like fun to talk about, maybe sometimes reminisce. I don't even want to use the term fun, but how you used to pick on me in high school. But I think as I got older, I needed a way to vent. And for me, writing was that way to, kind of vent.
Got you. Thank you for that. So, of course, I read your book. And like I said before, I completely loved it. Milo is the main character in this book. And it's a middle grade book, chapter book. And it's like sci-fi based. That was really interesting. Milo's a lovable and relatable character. For those of you that haven't read it yet, he's 11 years old. He's also a soccer player. And that's relatable, to a lot of our kids who are in sports. And he just moved to a brand new place. He's going to a brand new school. So, that hits on topic number one our kids are experiencing right now is a lot of change going on. And so what I loved about the book is, like many middle grade novels, is that we saw a huge shift in perspective for Milo, especially as he went through bullying and he was dealing with being different and seeing friends around him, people around him that were different. So who did you have in mind when you wrote the series?
So actually, I kind of had myself in mind. I kind of identified very strongly to the character of Milo. Because as a kid, I was kind of in a similar situation, kind of like moving to a new area in a sense, or going to a different school. And then, just trying to fit in, trying to find those pockets of friends, trying to, see who I can mesh with, things of that nature. And then also just missing home and kind of having that feeling. So I think I just pulled a lot from that when I built Milo out.
Okay. So you told us how you came up with like the idea behind it. Were there particular specific situations that you can think about in your life that inspired the book?
Yes, definitely. So each one of the books actually is kind of related to a specific event in my life,
Okay.
and then I kind of told the book around the story. So the first one is just kind of like, going to a new school and kind of trying to blend in. And, also a lot of times when you go to new schools, many times the new kids always get picked on and bullied on. So, a lot of the term of the book for the first book was just kind of like trying to blend in. And then, with the second book, that was, all about a big dance. And I had a fear of dancing growing up. And I always wanted to go to dances, but I never would go because I couldn't dance. And there was one particular incident where a friend of mine, when I was in like the 7th grade, he actually helped me learn how to dance.
Okay.
So you got these 7th graders, teaching each other, showing me how to dance or whatnot. So that's where the second book idea kind of came from.
Okay.
And then the third one was really just about, honesty and, being honest when faced with difficult situations and difficult decisions that you may be faced with, and also coming clean about certain things as well when it doesn't maybe suit you beneficially as a kid.
Got you. Thanks for sharing that. That's interesting. I remember dancing. I didn't dance. I couldn't dance and I didn't, but I still went.
Yeah, it took me a while to really, get my nerve up to finally go. But, I did, and it was okay. I didn't die.
Yep. And you had a friend teach you. And that's interesting because in this book, one of my ultimate favorite characters is Vince. Because, when Milo was being bullied, oftentimes, in life, we have a guide or we have a friend that is just always there for us. And Vince really showed himself true in your book. And as soon as Vince came into the scene, I knew that he was going to be amazing because he was kind of appointed, right, to be his guide because he was new in school. Yep. And he seemed to just like take that on, like, like this is my job
I got nothing else better to do. I'm just going to take the new kid under my wing. So.
That was really good. We all want friends like that. So, you told us about the guy in your life that taught you how to dance. What about in the first book with bullying? Did you have a friend that kind of came to your aid?
I did actually. I did have, friends that we would actually kind of depend on each other because a lot of times when kids get bullied, sometimes they get bullied in packs, know. So it was a situation like that to where, if you have a friend and he's in a situation of maybe getting bullied, you're not going to go let him be by himself. Or, you guys are always going to kind of hang out together. So it was kind of that situation, kind of had like a little, a clique of people getting bullied, but also kind of having each other's back.
Mm-hmm. Good. So the reason why we're talking about bullying tonight is not only because of, Marquiste's book, is because it's so relatable for a lot of us here, in the group and that are watching as we're raising children, even if we have babies or toddlers, it's a fear that we have that our kids are going to grow up and be bullied. They're going to be a bully, or they'll just be a bystander in a situation where somebody's being bullied. And we want to know that the kid that we talk to in our home is also a good kid out in the world. So if they see somebody being bullied, they know enough to be able to act on that and help to protect the person who's being bullied, or at least, go grab an adult. And just to give you guys like some information around bullying, I pulled some data from stopbullying.gov that shows that 20% of middle schoolers, because this book is, for middle school kids, will be bullied in school. That's 1 in 5. That's 1 in 5, children. So when you think about that, and 40% of the time, it happens in the hallway. Like that's the location that, most bullying, or 40% of it takes place. So there's somebody around, right? And if that's our kid that's in the situation, we want them to be able to have the words to express that that's not right, or be able to be brave enough to go and get an adult and, speak out against that kid that's doing it. And so books like Marquiste that are talk about bullying and talk about these situations give our kids, scenarios that they can relate to. And that's why I really, really loved your book. And so even, most of our kids are virtual schooling, but cyberbullying stats are not far behind from, the 1 in 5 from in-person schooling. So when you wrote this book, because it really resonated with me as I'm raising a 6-year-old boy, what message were you hoping to send to parents and children with your book?
Definitely just raise good adults. And, that kind of starts as a kid, just kind of learning empathy. And especially a lot with my last book, Honesty is the Best Policy. That, just kind of be truthful to yourself, be truthful to your friends around you as well. And also, don't always feel like you have to try to fit in. It's fine to be different. I think that's the biggest thing that I wanted to take away from the book series, is that it's fine to be different. And that's why the kids themselves are kind of based after monsters in a sense. It's kind of representation of going to a school where you may have different kids of different, ethnicities. These kids are kind of in their own case different ethnicities, because they're ghosts, they're vampires, and some of them hang together in cliques. But it's okay to, like I said, be yourself, and also not try to be something that you're not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's really good. And that's one thing I pick up in your book, is the fact that they were monsters. And it was like a culture shock for Milo, when he went to the new school. And I experienced that myself. When I was in middle school, I went to one school that when I went to high school, it was like a whole different environment. And, it's trying to like find that place where you can fit in, and discovering that it's okay to be, okay to be different. So we talked about Vince a little bit, and we talked about how he was assigned to be like Milo's guide, right? And he took that job like really seriously, and that was good. Bystanders, as you guys know, play a really important role in bullying, just making sure that they step up. And we know that bullying, in order to solve it or reduce it, it takes like a holistic approach, teachers, parents, adults, students, to be able to step in and really, tackle the problem head on. Mm-hmm. So I love how in your book, at the end, not to give too much of it away, but the school stepped in, and it was such a hilarious scene when they did step in, and the way that the kids like tried to solve it themselves, but then, they needed the adults to step in. I love that as well. So was your situation like similar? Did the school step in for you as well?
Yeah, in a sense, this was kind of like related in around an incident kind of happened in 6th grade. And at the time, I had a really good relationship with one of my teachers or whatnot. Mm-hmm. So, I was kind of I don't want to say use the word funning a lot of information to him, but, I think that I had a good relationship with him, where I wasn't scared to actually talk about what was going on and how it was affecting my friends. And because I wasn't scared to talk to him, he was able to kind of like help ease the situation a little bit. I felt, at least that's how I felt from my 6-year-old brain, that things weren't as bad. And also, he was also kind of working behind the scenes, talking to our parents as well, trying to figure out why we weren't meshing together. So he was trying to fix it, without us being called, snitches, because that's one of the worst things that, for the no bullying campaign is to, stop snitching mentality. Because if you don't speak up, then somebody is going to suffer for it. So it's one of those things that you definitely want to be able to feel comfortable about speaking up as well, too. So that's why I feel like I felt really good about having that relationship with a teacher.
Yeah, that's really good. That relationship with the teacher and, having the words to speak up. And, I have to say, because this is a reading group and, when we give kids the words through reading, because we're teaching them so many words and ways to express themselves. And I posted in the group today about that emotional, learning those words that express their emotions is really important, in them just being able to say it out loud. Because sometimes our kids, and we saw Milo in the book, when his dad asked how his day was, and he wasn't able to express it in that moment. You wonder why that was. Was he afraid, or did he just not know how to say it? And that's why, I feel like books and reading to our kids is so important, because it gives them the words that they need in order to do it. I'm so glad that teacher was there for you. Is he still because sometimes like we'll find our teachers from back in the day, like on Facebook stuff. Do you still have contact with him at all?
Yeah, actually I do. I'm actually teaching with a lot of friends on Facebook. The one thing about good with Facebook is I've been able to keep in touch with a lot of my teachers, because they are the giants I've been able to learn from. So
yeah. That's awesome. And we see teachers go above and beyond, especially in this time, every day. So it's cool when we can back up and, go back and say thank you for what you did. So
yeah, because you learn from it. You might not have known it at the time period, but as you got older, and then when you're also responsible for other people as well, and you're like, wow, okay, they did a lot.
Yes, yes. So is there anything else about your book that you want to share with us that maybe we missed in this conversation?
Well, one thing is I want to say definitely be on the lookout, because it's actually been about 6 years since I published for this particular book series, but I do have a fourth one that I'm planning on to be coming out with next year. And I wanted to kind of revisit some topics that's also been sensitive, and we kind of touched on a little bit earlier. It's about, cyberbullying. So kind of think AOL comes to Monster Kids Academy.
Got you. And I'll put this resource back up for you guys again, because there's some on stopbullying.gov. It gives some great resources for parents, and also for you to talk to your kids, about what's going on. And if you think there's something going on with your child, just having these resources just like laying around the house or on the fridge. If they don't want to talk to you, they can call and talk to somebody. You know what I mean? Just having somebody to talk to is excellent. And you touched on the cyberbullying. I came across a couple weeks ago on the FBI site. It was broken down by grades, and it gave like a quiz for kids to be able to practice safe surfing on the internet and be able to recognize like cyberbullying and who to reach out to for help. So I'll share that resource in the group. I'll check the comments, see if there's any questions. So let me see. Thank you all so much for joining tonight.
Yep, and thanks again, Quinn, for having me. I definitely appreciated the chat.
No problem. All right. Middle schoolers will love the help from these books. Yes, the heart behind the story. If you guys are going to fall in love with Milo, because I did, and especially Vince, we all want our kids to have events in our lives. Yes, important. So where can we find your books?
So you can actually find them by going to the website is monsterkids.academy. And also that you can find them on Amazon by just searching for Monster Kids Academy, and you can see the series there as well. Yeah. I have it currently in ebook form, but I also have physical copies of the book as well. And it will be on audio version next year.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. See, there's a smart Teresa said that is crazy and such a sad things that kids deal with. So true. Yes, Teresa, for kids to be able to say it out loud. So we answered all the questions. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. We really appreciate you. Thank you, Marquise, for sharing some insight behind your book. Check it out. Go to Monster Kids, Academy. I'll put the link in the group so that you can check out his book and, the whole series. I finished the first one and knew that I was excited for the second one to come because he touches on more on differences, and he leads into a girl in the story who is dealing with some anxiety, right? Yes. At the end, her name is Julie. Yeah, and she just wants to be invisible. So, that's a whole nother thing that we're dealing with in our households right now. So that was great. Anything else, Marquise?
No, that'll be all. Once again, I just want to say thanks again for having me on. And like I said, be on the lookout for the fourth book coming up soon. Because like I said, I ended the story on a cliffhanger, and now I got to send it off on a good note.
Yes, you got to help us out. You can't leave us hanging. So thank you so much, everybody, for joining us tonight. And thank you for being my first guest. This was so exciting.
Thank you.
We hope you're welcome. Thank you. And we hope you all enjoyed. And as Aiden would say, who's not here, keep reading, and I'll catch you on the flip side. Have a good night.
Have a good night.